lectures on Control Systems Laboratory. In this video, we will discuss the digital simulation of a root locus plot for the desired time response of a higher order systems. Coming to the title of the experiment, digital simulation of a root locus plot for the desired time response of a higher order systems. That means here we are using a root locus for identifying the stability of the system. For the given system, we need to identify the stability. So by using root locus, we can identify the stability of the system and the range of values of k up to what values the system is stable, and also depending on the time response and the time response characteristics, desired time response. By observing the pole locations, the damping, overshoot and all, we can design our systems. So root locus is a technique to identify the stability of the system. So in this experiment, we will see how to find the stability of the system by using simulation. Root locus technique we will implement in simulation and we will check. Coming to the aim, obtain root locus by MATLAB simulation for a unity feedback system. For a unity feedback system with a open loop transfer function g of s is equal to k by s plus 2 into s plus 4. So here the open loop system is the open loop system. For that, we need to implement the root locus. By using root locus, we need to identify stability of the system. Coming to the applications, the absolute stability of the system can be predicted from the location of the roots of the S-plane. Location of the roots of the S-plane. You can identify the stability, absolute stability of the system by changing the roots, and that we can observe while moving the roots, whatever the gain is increasing or decreasing, whatever the damping, whatever the overshoot, everything you can cross check. And the limiting range of the values of system gain k can be decided for the absolute stability of the system. That means depending on the pole's location. If all poles they are lying in left half of the S-plane, then the system we are saying is unstable. If any pole is moving towards the right half of the S-plane, then the system will be unstable. So that a range of values of k up to what values they will stay in left half of the S-plane, that and all we can observe. So based on that, we can design our damping ratios. Based on that, we can design our damping ratios. And also root locus helps to identify the stability of the system. Okay, that's the, so coming to the main theme of the experiment, here we are using a root locus to identify the stability of the system. So the given open loop system is g of s equal to k by s into s plus 2 into s plus 4. So this is the transfer function. For this transfer function, now we need to implement the root locus. First, theoretically, we will check how it will come the k value or whatever the stability of the system, and then we will try in the MATLAB. So first, coming to the theoretical calculations. So we need to draw the root locus for the open loop system. G of s equal to k by s into s plus 2 into s plus 4. So coming to the root locus, the first step will be to locate the poles and zeros in a S-plane. So we need to locate the poles and zeros in a S-plane. So how to identify the poles and how to identify the zeros? Coming to the numerator part of the transfer function. Roots of the numerator part of the transfer function will give the zeros of the system. So if you observe in your numerator, we are not having any s terms. So number of zeros is 0. So that zeros we are representing as an m, small letter m equal to 0. We are not having any zeros. So the number of zeros will be 0. And coming to the poles of the system. Poles we are finding from the denominator part of the transfer function. Poles we are finding from the denominator part of the transfer function. If you observe the denominator, we are having 3 s terms of there. So number of poles will come as a 3. Number of poles n we are representing n equal to 3. And now we need to identify the location of the poles. That means the roots of the denominator. If I identify the roots of the denominator part of the transfer function, 0, minus 2, minus 4. So 3 poles are there. Pole locations are 0, minus 2, and minus 4. These 3 are the location of the poles. Once if you know the number of poles, number of zeros, and location of the poles, location of the zeros, then we need to draw in a S-plane. S-plane is nothing but a pole zero plot, which you are drawing in between the real axis and imaginary axis. There is x-axis will be the real axis and y-axis the imaginary axis. So we are representing the poles and zeros in a pole zero plot. That only we call it as an S-plane. Yeah, now we need to draw the poles and zeros. So poles, how we are placing means poles we are marking with a cross mark and zeros with a small circle. Poles are marked by a cross mark Poles are marked by a cross mark and zeros are marking with a small circle. So first step, we need to locate the poles and zeros. We are not having any zeros. So we are having a poles, three poles are there. The pole locations are 0, -2 and -4. The three we need to place now. So here pole origin 0 is the -2, -4. These three are the pole locations. We are drawn in a S-plane. This is the first step. Location of poles and zeros in a S-plane. This is the first step. Yeah, coming to the second step. What is the second step? Means we need to identify the root locus on real axis. Root locus on real axis. How to identify the root locus on real axis means we will place a test point on real axis. We will place a test point on real axis and check what about the number of poles and zeros on a right side of the test point. We check the number of poles and zeros on a right side of the test point. If the count is an odd, then we are having a root locus. If count is an even, there is no root locus. How we are checking and all, we will see now. So now I'm placing a test point here. And I'm checking the number of poles and zeros on the right side of this test point. I'm checking the poles and zeros on the right side of this test point. If you observe here, we are not having any poles and zeros. So number of poles and zeros will be 0. Generally, 0 will consider as even. So no root locus. If we place a test point here also, the same thing will come. So number of poles and zeros right side of this test point. We are not having any poles and zeros, 0. So no root locus. Now if you place a test point here, and check the number of poles and zeros on right side of this test point, we are having a one pole at origin is there. So number of poles and zeros is 1. So in between these two poles, we are having a root locus. So the root locus path we are showing with a dark line. Here we are showing with an green color, that is a 0 and -2. Here we are having a root locus, right? And next, if you place a test point here and check the poles and zeros, number of poles and zeros on right side of this test point. Now we are having two poles out there. Number of poles and zeros is 2. So we are not having a root locus. 2 is an even number, so no root locus between -2 and -4. And next, if you place a test point here, check the number of poles and zeros. Whatever the number of poles and zeros will come, total number of poles and zeros are 3. So 3 is an odd number, so root locus will come. So this total entire negative real axis from -4 to the negative infinity, we are having a root locus. -4 to the negative infinity, we are having a root locus. So that way I'm showing with a dark line. Right. And one more thing, before starting this one, we need to discuss what about the infinite root locus and what is the finite root locus, and current problem, that is in our case, how many root locus are there, whether it is infinite or finite root locus. Generally, root locus starts from a pole and ends at zeros. In our case, we are having 3 poles are there. We are not having any zeros. We are having 3 poles are there. We are not having any zeros. So all the poles, they will assume there is a 0 at infinity and travel towards the infinity. All the poles, they will assume there is a 0 at infinity and travel towards the infinity. So that means they are traveling infinite distance. That's why the root locus we call it an infinite root locuses. In case if any 0 is there, the particular pole will travel towards that 0. So their distance will be the finite. Distance traveling is finite. So that one we call it as a finite root locus. Coming in our case, we are not having any zeros. So all the 3 poles, that means root locus starts from that 3 poles, and they will assume there is a 0 at infinity and travel towards the infinity. 3 infinite root locuses are there. Coming to the first case, if we observe a root locus starts from a pole at -4 and travel towards the negative infinity. The direction will be like this. It will come, starts from -4 and travel towards the negative infinity. So this is the one infinite root locus. And now we need to cross check remaining 2 infinite root locuses. We need to identify the 2 infinite root locuses. Right? That we will see in next steps. So this is the second step, root locus on a real axis, by placing a test point and check the the number of poles and zeros on the right side of the test point. If a count is an odd, there exists a root locus. If it is not, the count is an even, no root locus. Like that, a series of test points we will place and we will check the root locus on real axis. This is the second step. Root locus on real axis, how we are placing the test point and how we are checking the poles and zeros on the right side. Based on that, how we are identifying the same thing. Okay. Next, coming to the third step. Third step will be the angle of asymptotes on centroid. Third step will be the angle of asymptotes on centroid. Coming to the centroid first. First you will see the centroid. Coming to the centroid first. Centroid is equal to sum of poles minus the sum of zeros by n minus m. Sum of poles minus sum of zeros by n minus m, where n is the number of poles and m is the number of zeros. N is the number of poles and m is the number of zeros. Right? Already we know the pole locations. What about the pole locations? 0, minus 2 and minus 4. So the pole locations and sum of zeros, we are not having any zeros, so 0. And coming to the number of poles is 3 and m is the number of zeros, we are not having any zeros. So if we simplify this one, 0, minus 2, minus 4, minus 0 by 3 minus 0 means we are getting as a minus 2. So centroid is minus 2. So we are placing a centroid first. This is the centroid minus 2. And next, coming to the angle of asymptotes. Coming to the angle of asymptotes. How we are finding the angle of asymptotes means plus or minus 180 into 2q plus 1 by n minus m. Plus or minus 180 into 2q plus 1 by n minus m. Right? Where n is the number of poles and m is the number of zeros. And coming to the q. Q represents the number of combinations. How many combinations we need to calculate the angle of asymptotes. That value depends upon the n minus m. So we can need to calculate q depending upon n minus m combinations. In our case, we are having 3 poles, not having any zeros. That means 3 minus 0. So we need to calculate the 3 combinations. That means when q equal to 0, whatever the angle, q equal to 1, whatever the angle, q equal to 2, whatever the angle of asymptotes. So first, when q equal to 0, if you are placing q equal to 0 means plus or minus 180 into 0 plus 1 by 3 minus 0. So here we are getting plus or minus 60. Plus or minus 60 degrees. Next, when q equal to 1. If you place the q equal to 1 means 2 plus 1, 3. That is the 2 plus 1 by plus or minus 180 into 2 plus 1 by 3. So this 3 and 3 will get cancelled and we are getting plus or minus 180. And next, when q equal to 2, if you place the q equal to 2 means 2 into 2, 4 plus 1. So 180 plus or minus 180 into 4 plus 1 by 3. So 3 6 are 18. So 6 into 5, 300. So plus or minus 300 will be the angle of asymptotes. Once if the centroid and angle of asymptotes is over, then we need to locate the centroid and draw the angle of asymptotes. That means we are taking centroid as a center. We are taking centroid as a center and draw the angle of asymptotes. If you observe the graph here, centroid we are placing at minus 2. So that minus 2 we are taking as a center and draw the angle of asymptotes. So first plus 60, minus 60, plus 180 means on horizontal line, minus 180 means on negative axis. So plus 300 and also minus 300. So take centroid as a center and draw the angle of asymptotes. Take centroid as a center, draw the angle of asymptotes is the third step. Right. After completing this one, once if the angle of asymptotes and centroid is over, now we need to cross check the breakaway points and break in points. When we will check the breakaway points, when we are checking the break in points means if we're having a root locus in between 2 poles on a real axis. If we're having a root locus in between 2 poles on a real axis, then there exists a breakaway point. If there is a root locus between 2 poles on real axis, then there exists a breakaway point. In case if we're having a 2 zeros on real axis, in between the 2 zeros we are having a root locus. If we're having a root locus between 2 zeros, then there exists a break-in point. Between 2 poles on real axis means breakaway point. Between 2 zeros on real axis means break-in point. Coming to in our case, Coming to, in our case, we are having a root locus between two poles. We are having a root locus in between two poles. Between two poles means break away point will come. So now we need to cross check the break away point. How to find the breakaway point? So we already know the open loop system. So from this, we need to identify the closed loop transfer function. So the closed loop transfer function is C of s by R of s equal to G of s by 1 plus G of s into H of s. So already G of s is there, H of s is unity feedback. So if we substitute the G of s equation, K by s into s plus 2 into s plus 4 by 1 plus K by s into s plus 2 into s plus 4. If we simplify this one, K by K plus s into s plus 2 into s plus 4. This is the closed loop transfer function. So from that closed loop transfer function, what is the characteristic equation? So k into s plus s into s plus 2 into s plus 4 equal to 0. This is the characteristic equation. Convert this one into the polynomial. If you multiply this one, then s cube plus 6s square plus 8s plus k equal to 0. This is the characteristic equation. So from this characteristic equation, we are checking the value of k. We are checking the value of k. That means k is equal to minus s cube plus 6s square plus 8s. K equal to minus s cube plus 6s square plus 8s. So this is the k equation. Now we are applying the differentiation to this k with respect to the s. We are applying differentiation to the k with respect to the s. So if we apply differentiation, s cube mean, if we apply the differentiation to this s cube, then we are getting as a 3s square. And next 6s square, 12s. And next 8s, 8. So this is the equation what you are getting after differentiation, after applying the differentiation. And now if you observe here, it is a second order system, s square is this. So we'll identify the roots of the system. So if you identify the roots for this equation, then you are getting s equal to minus 0.845 and minus 3.154. Two roots are there. Now we need to substitute these roots in this equation k, and we need to check the value of k. Based on the value of k, we can say whether we are having a breakaway point or not. So first, check for the k when the root is 0.845. First case, check for the value of k when the root s equal to minus 0.845. So if we substitute this s value in this equation, now we are getting the k value as a 3.08. K value as a 3.08. That means if the k value is positive and real, if the k value is positive and real, then there exists a breakaway point at this root. If the k value is positive and real, there exists a breakaway point at this root. So coming to the first case, k value you are getting as a positive and real. So we are having a breakaway point at s equal to minus 0.845. If you observe the graph, the same thing I show. Where you are having the breakaway point is at minus 0.845. So here we are having a breakaway point. And next, coming to the second case, we need to cross check minus 3.145 also, 154 also. So now check for the value of k when s is equal to minus 3.145, 154 minus 3.154. If we substitute that s value, then k value you are getting as a minus 3.08. K value you are getting as a minus 3.08. That means k value is not positive, not positive and real, not positive. So we are not having a root locus at this root. We are not having a root locus at this root. Previous case, if we check k value, we are getting as a positive and real. So there exists a root locus at this root. That means there exists a breakaway point, not the root locus. There exists a breakaway point at this root. So now we are having a breakaway point at minus 0.85 on a negative real axis. So this is the breakaway point, minus 0.845 is the breakaway point. Right? This is the current. Once if the breakaway point is over, next step we need to cross check the angle of arrival and angle of departure. Angle of arrival and angle of departure. So when we are finding the angle of departure, when we are finding the angle of arrival means if we are having a complex poles, if we are having a complex poles, then we need to find the angle of departure. If you're having a complex poles, then you need to identify the angle of departure. If you're having a complex zeros, If you're having a complex zeros, then we need to calculate the angle of arrival. Complex poles means we need to identify the angle of departure. Complex zeros means we need to identify the angle of arrival. But coming to in our case, we are not having a complex poles, we are not having a complex zeros. So no need to calculate the angle of arrival and angle of departure. So next step is to find the angle of departure and arrival. But in our case, we are not having a complex poles and complex zeros. So no need to find the angle of departure and angle of arrival. We can skip that step. Okay. And next step. And coming to the next step. Now root locus starts from a pole. We are having a breakaway point, and then it will, we are not having a zero. So it is traveling towards the infinity. So it is traveling towards the infinity means in between it will cross the imaginary axis. Where it is crossing, we need to identify. That means next step will be to find the crossing point on imaginary axis. To find the crossing point on imaginary axis. So how we are finding means from the characteristic equation. Already we know the characteristic equation. K plus S into S plus 2 into S plus 4 equal to 0. So this is the characteristic equation. Now in this characteristic equation, we are substituting S is equal to j omega. So we are converting the polynomial for easy simplification. So S cube plus 6S square plus 8S plus K equal to 0. So this is the characteristic equation. Now we are substituting S is equal to j omega in this equation. So S equal to j omega means j omega whole cube plus 6 into j omega whole square plus 8 into j omega plus K is equal to 0. This is the equation, characteristic equation after substituting S is equal to j omega. Now we simplify j cube we can write it as in -1. So minus j omega cube 6j square omega square. Yeah, j cube means j square into j square value is -1. So minus j we are writing. And coming to the next one here, j square is the j square is nothing but directly -1. So minus 6 omega square plus 8j omega plus K is equal to 0. If we observe this equation, here we are having the both imaginary and real terms are there. So we are separating the imaginary part and the real part. So if we observe the imaginary terms, minus j omega cube and 8j omega, these two are the imaginary terms which are equating to the 0. Now this is an imaginary term, so you take the omega as a common shift opposite side, it will be 0. Then omega square minus omega square plus 8 equal to 0. That means minus minus will get cancelled, and then omega square equal to 8. From that, omega means root of 8. So here we are getting as a plus or minus 2.8 omega value. This is an imaginary axis, imaginary part. So this is the imaginary axis cutting point, plus 2.8 and minus 2.8 imaginary axis cutting point, right? Once if the know the imaginary axis cutting point, now we will observe the real part. So in real part, we are having minus 6 omega square plus K equal to 0. From that, K equal to 6 omega square. So this is K is nothing but the system gain K, which depends upon the omega value. Which depends upon the omega value. That where you need to identify the K value means at the imaginary axis crossing point. Why you are checking at imaginary axis crossing point means before crossing it is on left half of the S-plane. Once it is crossing means it will enter into the right half of the S-plane. So once the poles is moving towards the right half of the S-plane, system will be unstable. So if you find on the imaginary axis means up to that K value, system will be stable. That I will show in the graph, right? So already we know the imaginary axis crossing point. So plus or minus 2.8, j 2.8. If we substitute that value as a omega, then 6 into 2.8 square, we are getting K value as a 48. So we are getting K value as a 48. That means up to 48 system will be stable. If we are taking the greater than 48 K value, greater than 48, then the poles are moving towards the right half of the S-plane, and the system will be unstable. I will show you the graph. Yeah. First, we are representing the imaginary axis cutting points, that is at plus 2.8 and minus 2.8, plus j 2.8 and minus j 2.8. And already we know the breakaway point. Breakaway point is minus 0.854. 845 is, yeah, is the breakaway point. Now this two root locus, it's starting from this between these two poles, and here it is diverging. At breakaway point, it will diverge and it will cross the imaginary axis at plus 2.8 and travel towards the infinity by following this asymptote. Like this, it will go. And here also one more. And here also one more. It will come like this, and here it will diverge, and it will cross the imaginary axis at minus 2.8 and travel towards the infinity by following the asymptote, right? Like this, it will move. So if you observe up to this point, it is in left half of the S-plane. These all are left half of the S-plane. Up to this point, it is in left half of the S-plane pole location. System will be stable. Once if it is crossing, here it is entering into the right half of the S-plane. So system will be unstable. So if you take k equal to 48, then the poles are on imaginary axis. Then that is a marginally stable system. If you observe the graph, that how it is moving, the root locus minus 4 it is starting and travel towards a negative infinity, infinite root locus, and minus 2 it is starting, minus 2 coming towards the breakaway point. From this breakaway point again it is traveling like this, it is crossing the imaginary axis and travel towards the infinity, and 0 breakaway point and travel towards the infinity. So the direction, this yellow mark represents the direction of this pole movement up to this portion. If you observe on left half of the S-plane, left half of the S-plane, system is stable. When k value we are increasing up to 48, at this point system gain 48 is there. So up to 48, the pole locations are on left half of the S-plane, the system will be stable. If you take k equal to 48 exactly, then pole locations is on imaginary axis. That means marginally stable. If we take greater than 48, the poles are moving in and thus in right half of the S-plane. So the system will be unstable. Right? Like this, we need to identify the stability of the system, and also you can check the range of the k values. Right? And now the same thing, we will see how to write, how we are writing the coding part, and how we are checking in simulation. It's the theoretical calculations, and now we'll see the coding part. Apparatus required is personal computer and the MATLAB software. And coming to the programming part, coding part, is the transfer function is there for easy entering the numerator and denominator. We are converting this denominator into the polynomial form. So k by s cube plus 6s square plus 8s. So in numerator, we are not having any s term. So s power 0 is there. So directly numerator will be the 1, and coming to the denominator, highest power is s cube. So s cube coefficient is 1, and next is s square coefficient is 6, and next s power 1 coefficient is 8, and s power 0, we are not having s power 0 coefficient, that's why we are placing as 0. So first we need to specify the numerator and denominator coefficients. Once the numerator and denominator coefficients is over, by using that one, we can frame the transfer function. So s by s, we can take any variable. S by s equal to tf. Tf is a predefined transfer function. Tf of numerator comma denominator. With this, the transfer function will come. Once the transfer function knows, then we will apply the root locus. So command will be r locus of the system. So root locus will come, or locus of the system. And now we need to identify the range of k values, where we need to identify up to what value the system is stable. That means while crossing the imaginary axis, at this point, you need to cross check the k value. So further, the command will be r locus find system. That one in the short form, r log find sys. So with this, it will ask the cursor point you place properly. Then we can choose that one as the imaginary axis crossing point. If we click there, then it will show where it is we are clicking, and what's the gain at that point in the command window. Programming part is simple only, numerator and denominator, framing as a transfer function. For the transfer function, we are implementing the root locus, and from the root locus, we are finding the system gain k. Next is the programming part, and now we will see the same programming part if we are giving in a simulation, that means in MATLAB, how it will come as a this root locus paths and all, how we are getting and all, we'll see now. We'll open the MATLAB. This is the MATLAB. Yeah, in command window also you can enter, but it's not possible to save and it's not possible to cross check properly. So we'll enter the program in script file. So editor key. So already program is there in a slide. I will copy from there directly. Copy program directly. The same thing I will paste in MATLAB. Paste. The first line will be CLC. It will clears the previous data and all in a command window. So now this is the program, numerator, denominator, system for the transfer function. For that we are implementing the root locus, and then need to identify the range of k value. For that rlog find of system. First line will be the CLC2. If any previous data and all is there in command window, it will clear. So now we will run the program. So we need to save the file first. Let it be the same name. It will ask save the pro. Yeah, it will be the same name. Yeah, and now we'll see the command window, what and all it is coming, and what about the graph name. Numerator 1, denominator 1680. This is the denominator, and system, what is the transfer function? 1 by s cube plus 6s square plus 8s. For this transfer function, we implement the root locus. For this transfer function, we implemented the root locus. Yeah, this is the graph. Yeah, and one more thing we observe in the command window, after transfer function, select a point in the graphics window. Now we need to select a point in the graphics window. How we are selecting, I will show you in the graph. Yeah, you check this, the graph, and here it is asking a cursor point. It is showing cursor point to place. That is the graphics window that they are showing. Select a point in the graphics window means we need to select where the gain while crossing the imaginary axis, that k value while crossing the imaginary axis. If we observe here, it is the imaginary axis crossing point. Imaginary axis crossing point is this one. So here we need to identify the value of k. Here we need to identify the value of k. So now I'm placing here under this one. Yeah, now you observe. Now the same thing we can go and cross check in command window. So where we checked, so it is real part almost 0, and coming to the imaginary part 2.85 j 2.8. We are pressing that one. That is the imaginary axis cutting point. At this point, what is the gain? It is showing 48.9. Theoretically, already we solved how much we are getting, 48. Here also we are getting 48.9. If you place exactly at the j 2.8, then you will get as a 48. So up to 48, that is the k value up to 48, the system will be stable. If we are increasing greater than 48, means the poles will enter into the right half of the S-plane. System is unstable. That I will show you the graph. Yeah, this is the graph. And now if you observe here, we are having a 3 poles are there. So these are the 3 poles. Yeah, you observe. Where is the pole location is there? Pole location is -4. Pole location is -4. Right? At this value, gain k is 0. Now we are increasing the k value. System gain k, if you are increasing, is observe the pole location. If we are increasing the now increasing the gain k value. If we are increasing the k value, means pole location is changing, right? Pole location is changing. Pole location is changing. That's the same thing. Root locus, the path traced by the roots of the characteristic equation when the system gain k is varied from 0 to infinity. The same thing now we are cross checking. When k equal to 0, the pole is at -4. If we are increasing the k value, the pole location is changing. That only called as a root locus. So this is the one infinite path where it is starting when k equal to 0, pole location is at -4, and this is the pole at -2. At that time, gain is 0. And next, origin. This is the origin, pole at origin. So pole location is 0, gain is 0. Now if we are increasing the k value, automatically this pole locations will change. Based on that, it will move. While moving, it is crossing the imaginary axis. So it is entering into the right half of the S-plane. That means system will be unstable. Up to what range the system will be stable means if we are checking this one, imaginary axis crossing points. See, here it is the imaginary axis crossing point. At this point, you observe the pole location. It's already came as a complex form. And the gain is 49.6. That means already in right half of the S-plane. If you place exactly on imaginary axis, yeah, almost value it is coming. We check damping is negative, it is showing is an unstable. That to overshoot also it is showing 1 or 2. Based on the desired specifications, we can select the pole locations and we can get the desired performance characteristics. That one more thing here, if you observe three colors are there. Why you are having three colors means you are having three infinite root locuses. One is at -4, it is starting and travel towards the negative infinity. And one more, here it is in green color is there. It is starting at -2 and it is traveling. Here it is the breakaway point. Breakaway point is at -0.845. After breakaway, it is entering into the, that is crossing the imaginary axis and traveling like this. See, this -2 is traveling towards downward direction. And this blue line, it's starting from 0, coming to the breakaway. After breakaway, it is diverging and travel towards the upward. It is crossing the imaginary and travel towards the infinity. Like this, we can cross-check the stability of the system. And based on that, at each and every location, we can observe the pole location, what is the overshoot is there. Based on that, we can design our systems. This is the today's experiment. And coming to the conclusion, this is the programming part. Here we are having three poles, 0, -2, -4. At each and every location, it is showing system gain, pole, damping, overshoot, how much is their frequency. So by changing the pole location, if we are changing the K value, this gain K will change. Once if it is changing, automatically parameters, this damping, overshoot, pole location, everything will change. Based on that, we can select the desired location. We can get the desired performance, design characteristics we can design for all the poles. For all the poles, we can cross check and we can design our design system. Coming to the conclusion, now we draw the root locus for open loop system K by S into S plus 2 into S plus 4 in the simulation. And we observed what about the pole locations 0, -2 and -4. So three poles we are having, that the three poles we are starting when K equal to 0. That means -2, -2, 0, -2 and -4. Root locuses, three infinite root locuses starting point when K equal to 0. And coming to the ending point, that is when K equal to infinity. That means the first infinite root locus starts from -4 and directly it will travel towards a negative infinity on real axis, negative real axis. And coming to the remaining two, in between 0 and -2, we are having a breakaway point at -0.845. At that point, the K value is 3.08. It will crosses the breakaway. That means there it is diverging and travel towards the infinity. While travel towards the infinity, it crosses the imaginary axis at ±J2.8. At that point, the K value is 48. So if we are increasing the K value as greater than 48, it will enter into the right half of the S-plane. The system will be unstable. So up to this part, if the pole locations are there up to this one imaginary axis, the system will be stable. On imaginary axis means marginally stable. If it enters into the right half of the S-plane, then the system will be unstable. So that factor depends upon the K value. So by changing the K value, we can design our systems. Thank you.